Barry. Is it two of them? Yeah.
Alrighty. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're Speaking Sporadically, the podcast. So happy to have you guys listening today. If you're new here, consider subscribing or checking out our other content, because I know we definitely made a video that could interest probably anybody. But we got some amazing guests on today for an amazingly planned episode. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves, go right ahead.
So, hi, I'm Joseph Footoff.
I'm Kateri Sherman.
That's a nice last name you got there.
Now you know.
So what we wanted to talk about today was the first robotics program. Our little robot over here, if you guys can see it well. We'll give the camera a better angle real quick.
You guys name it in the comments.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So pretty much what First Robotics is, or I guess why we're doing this, is they want to do that as outreach for their team, spread the word of robotics, and let more people know about it. Because I don't think it's a big known thing around here, I guess.
No, yeah, I know because we were in it. I guess we should say we were in it for 6 years.
6 years
And
from 7th grade to we graduated.
When we were in it, we told people like, "Oh no, we can't do it. We got a robotics thing going on." They're like, I mean, they understood robotics, but they're like, that's a thing like around here.
Yeah.
And then even now, it's like, yeah, we're gonna go help out, or we're gonna go watch the Larmies team. And they're like, they have that. Where is this team?
Our school has a robotics team.
Yeah, but it's been here it's its 7th year. Yes. So it's been a while, and people still don't really know.
Yeah, we were actually the founders of the whole organization and club, FLRC. So
little flex, whatever.
We were telling people that at the Wapak meet on Saturday, and they were like, "All right,
okay."
We were there too. I mean,
yeah, but you
little fourth.
Do you know
graders.
the scene from Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, where the witch is like incanting something, and the line goes, "Do not recite the black magic to me. I was there when it was written." That's kind of what it felt like, and she was really nice, and she was actually a really helpful judge. But she's like telling Jagwe and I, like, "All right, you guys should do this," or "It's really impressive that this team did this." I'm like, "Yeah, we know, we've been there. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two."
I was just about to say. I said the farmers insurance line. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. So, I guess. Anything you guys want to talk about? I know, Katie, you wanted to kind of just like tell what FIRST is, more from the organization standpoint. We'll get into it deeper. I know you guys probably have some more questions about it.
So FIRST is an acronym, and it stands for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology. So basically, the whole premise is bringing STEM to students.
You knew that.
I kind of knew it was an acronym, but I've never heard it before.
I didn't know it was an acronym.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I knew it was an acronym.
I'd read it once, but I didn't know like that.
Dang.
So the whole organization is split up into 4 different groups. There's First Lego League Junior, First Lego League, which we all were in. Basically, that's a little less as not less significant, but extreme as what our team is in. We're in FTC, which stands for First Tech Challenge, and then there's FRC, which is First Robotics Competition, and that's a little bit like BattleBots. I would compare it to that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like BattleBots. They don't actually fight each other.
Yeah, contact is probably, what's the word? Not condoned.
Yeah, but I guess if you want to imagine it from this, like, First Lego League, right? Their tables say is like 8 foot by 3 foot or 4 foot. Mm-hmm. And then go to our game mat. Ours is like 12 by 12. And then FRC is like, like 30 feet by 30 feet. The competition and the tasks that need to be completed just get bigger and bigger, which requires you to do more things.
I think another good gauge of it is in the Lego League, the little one. So you have, or the littler one.
Yeah, the age groups I believe for that is 6th grade to freshman, right?
I think the First Lego League, we started in 4th grade.
Oh, so 4th grade to 8th grade?
Yeah. Something like
Most of the age groups overlap a little bit. Like FTC, you can start in 7th grade, where in FLL, you can age out after 8th grade. So.
Yeah, but like a little gauge of it is like, so the Lego League, you're not allowed to touch the mat when the robots are running, right? In a competition, but you're like right there in the lip, like the barrier's like this big. Mm-hmm. FTC, which is what they're in, they have a bigger wall, the mat's bigger, and you got to stand back, you got to wear safety goggles and stuff. And then it's a FRC, there's a cage protecting everything.
Yeah,
like this is like a cage, still wearing goggles. You were like 5 feet back. So it gets intense.
Yeah, I guess to describe like what the tasks are, you guys want to explain what this year was, like what your goals of the battle, the field of play.
Yeah, FLL, typically it's like multiple tasks spread out over the whole table. But in FTC, it's more of a centralized task, but there's a lot of different ways to do it. So this year, it involves taking cones that are like red and blue. So there's like 2 teams, and it's just whoever like gets the most cones on. They're like each point value based out and everything.
So you just stack them up.
Yeah, pretty much just stack them on these like giant yellow poles that they have. So definitely is a challenge. The main challenge is being able to make your robot be able to like lift all the way up and put it up there. I mean,
yeah. And would you like to walk us through some of that process about like the robot itself? Because I'm sure everybody has an idea now, but they're not quite sure what the robots are looking like right now.
Go through the specs and your normal materials you'll see on a robot.
The specs, it's 18 by 18 by 18, so 18 wide, long, tall, and then it can expand after that, but it just has to be able to fold down into that. So ours, we have like a lift where we can lift all the way up, but when our lift is closed, we're 18 inches or just under. And it can weigh, I think, up to 40 pounds, which nobody's usually that close to it.
We got close.
We did.
Gosh, I can't think of any of the other specs that would be.
So what do you like? You said you had a slide, like a linear rail. Like, what do you make it out of? You know
So yeah, you can use pretty much any types of parts that you want. But basically, all the teams use metal. We did see we had a competition at Wall Park. They used wood on theirs.
Mm-hmm.
They had a substantial amount of wood on there. They like laser cut and everything. But yeah, the tasks, there's not really any specific website that you have to buy it from. Like with the Legos, you had to get official Lego parts.
Mm-hmm.
With the FTC, there's all sorts of websites you can buy it from. You can make your own parts. You can.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Yeah.
If you are able to, you can completely fabricate the entire robot, except for, I guess, the communications between the first software, which is kind of how your robot communicates between the like phones that you press start with and that you hook up the controllers with.
I'll add something to that. For first LEGO League, your robot is completely pre-programmed, and FTC, you have 30 seconds at the beginning. It's called autonomous, and that's pre-programmed, and you don't touch the robot, you just press the play button, and then after that there's a driver controlled period, so that's also programmed, but you're controlling the robot with a controller. So I think that's a little bit of difference there. Should add that.
Well, I guess from now on we'll just like stick to the FTC because that's what we're all more versed in.
So yeah, you said we use phones. That was actually, they came out with a new way to do that. They have like
we're old school now.
Yeah. We're outdated.
Ancient. They have this. It's basically just a phone, but there's a driver hub which has some USB ports you can plug the controllers into, and then there's a control hub on the robot. So it basically acts like the phone did. And you would have to have a hub for all your motors. So it just acts like the phone and the hub all together. So then the driver and the control hub communicate between each other. And then you can also hook up a computer if you want to do like programming for it. Yeah.
So let's see. So you mentioned programming a little bit, and we don't have to go into terrible detail because people usually have a pretty good idea. I mean, there's a code. If you understand it, you type in it, and then it usually does what you want.
If you don't understand it, it just looks like gibberish.
Yeah. I didn't understand it for 2.5 years when I was the head programmer.
Oh yeah. Somehow a robot just moves sometimes.
It just did it, man. Well, I was sitting at that computer for a long time, and then after so much trial and error, it just works, man. But what about your team specifically? Can you tell us about your team? How it got started? We don't. No, just the team, or the club, doesn't matter.
So basically, these two right here, I guess you could say, were the founders of the FTC team.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
You played him, bro.
I didn't really mean.
You made him say that.
That's fair enough. I didn't try.
So after 8th grade, they were aging out of FL. They could do that no longer. So they created the FTC team, and this is how far we've come. Pretty exciting.
Yeah. So I guess one thing I want to mention on our first, that's a program, they focus a lot on the competition, but I think equally they focus on expanding the program and sharing it to other people. So me and Isaiah actually got to judge last week, and there's a couple awards you can get. So they have their engineering focused awards, which are Innovate and Think. So those are Innovate's kind of if you have an innovative robot, something new that people haven't seen, which is what me and Isaiah specifically judged on Saturday.
Yeah.
Think is kind of if you're do very well at breaking down the whole engineering design process of your robot throughout the year. And there's also the design as well. And then they have like outreach and team focus.
It's like
awards,
like softer skills kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I guess is a way to describe it. There's definitely a word, but actually they use a certain word to describe it.
How would you guys all describe that?
Gracious professionalism.
There you go.
You can't hit me like that.
But yeah.
So that's the cool thing about First is they really focus on like always trying to show more people, get outreach, like spread the word of First and involve more people as well. They have a big focus on gaining new mentors. So so sometimes throughout today we'll definitely talk about like what you guys have done for outreach and whatnot, or you can talk about it now.
So what would have been 2 weeks ago at Van Wert, we actually got a award for outreach. It was like Connect Award or something because we did 419 Nutrition and Energy. We did the basketball game halftime thingy. What else did we do? Social
media is just writing letters to our community.
Yeah. Now you guys have been on a podcast.
Yeah. I'd say the biggest thing that First wants to do, they like promoting like engineering and stuff like that, but the biggest thing that they want to do is they want to take kids and they want to instill like really positive values like teamwork, communication, like tenacity, and like just friendly competition is a big one. And they translate that to a lot of different things. And so for that reason, they want people to like spread the word and get them to like gain those skills, new kids.
Yeah, and I think that's really shown in First. They always have the saying when they're showing out the game mat is they say, your opponents in one competition can be your alliance in the next competition. So how this works is it's all on a field and it's team-based. So there's two robots and two separate teams competing for the blue team, then two for the red, right? And there's qualification matches, which make your seeding for the end of the day, which we'll get into later. But basically, you are randomly assigned a team that you have to participate with, which, sometimes you can get a high-level robot, sometimes you get a low-level robot. And there's strategies of, making your robot good regardless or making your robot a really, what's the word I'm looking for, compatible robot that can work.
Versatile.
Yeah, versatile, that can work with other teams. So what do you guys think about that? Do you like the fact that you get random teams and you get to see a bunch of different teams throughout the day?
So I think it's good how they do it because we don't usually know. We usually get there like 7 in the morning or whatever, and we don't usually know who we're with until 9 o'clock or whatever. So it does kind of help because if they didn't do it like that, they'd send it out the day before, and like all these teams would be like going back and forth, like how do we work together and like kind of cheat a little bit, but. I think it's nice how they do it. And it is fun. You do meet a lot of people. So
I really like that aspect of it. It is involved with scouting, so we have to actually go and talk to the teams and meet new people instead of being your own team and reserved and making a really good robot. It forces you to be friends with everyone, I guess.
Yeah, just be outgoing and kind of build upon those skills, like meeting new people, and sometimes it even requires like respectfully, like taking charge, and kind of making decisions. And like we only have so much time to figure things out, and so like you kind of have to like select a leader of some sort.
Yeah, like they said, you don't know who you're working with until day of, and then things happen. It gets hectic. Yeah. And sometimes you're meeting with a team that you're about to go compete with like 5 minutes beforehand. Yeah. And you're talking about game strategy, and they're just like, I don't know. It's like, all right, well, this is what we're going to do.
Right, exactly. It's like, okay, well, we can do this. So, and it just depends, like we've always been teetering between like sometimes we've been like a high level robot and sometimes we've been a low level robot. You guys this season, we've watched high level. I mean, come on, it's good. But Sherman and I always leaned like in between, and so it's definitely, you can definitely tell, like, you go up to a team and they're talking about strategy and they're like, yeah, we can do this and we can do this and we can do this really fast. And we're like, okay, we can be out of the way and we can park at the end and get some points.
Yeah. Well,
And,
we always
you just have to, like, because that's the best thing for your alliance. So that's what you do.
Yeah, we pride ourselves a lot on consistency. Like, our robot
Yeah.
had a couple good things it could always do, and it would always be able to do them. And
Yeah.
that was really good. And you
yeah.
guys saw that on Saturday when you competed. I mean, consistency won you, and it got you to, you guys are second seed, right?
Yeah.
So you guys want to get into how the whole, I mean, I barely even understand it sometimes, oh my lord. But the ranking system, kind of getting to the final of like the actual
break that down.
of the actual robot competition. I learned a lot more about how it works this past Saturday.
Yeah.
But
Chris,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, thank
Shout
you,
out.
Chris.
He was another judge. He was awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean Chris, that is one dedicated man. He knows his stuff. It's unbelievable.
Okay, so I guess you have each team gets 6 qualification matches, and so that makes around 30-ish total matches.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how many teams are there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at last week it was 6. The week before it was like 4 or 5, I think.
On average, they usually have about 20
Yeah.
teams total competing at these
Yeah.
meets or more.
And you get ranked off of how many matches you won, your alliance won, so that's if you were on the red or the blue. And then you also get ranked with the high score, your score at the end. And then there's a lot of tiebreaker points, but I guess we won't get into that. So there's a leaderboard that's constantly being changed throughout the day. At the end of the qualification matches, you get some time to choose an alliance or a team captain, and all the team captains will line up in the gymnasium and they'll pick the final alliances. So we got second in the qualification matches, but that doesn't mean we got second overall in the entire competition, because we go into finals and it's like a tournament style. So
Yeah, kind of like a bracket.
Mhm.
They have 4, so they have the top 4 teams get to be alliance captains, and they start with team number 1, and they can ask any other team that's there to like kind of join them. So they can ask one of the other top 3 teams that are with them, and they can either choose to accept or decline, and then team number 1 has to ask somebody else. If they decline, if they accept, then it goes to like the second person in line.
Yeah, and why this all matters, I guess, to put like a little bit more perspective onto it, is how you place throughout all the different awards, that being the Think Award, the Inspire Award, which is the top award, and then being the winning alliance captain and being the first selection of the winning alliance. That all places you in an order to move on to state. And why I say places you in an order, the top 4 teams in that placement go on to state. So you have a bunch of qualification matches throughout Ohio, and they move on. How many teams? Like 40 teams get to go on the state?
it's at 36.
36 teams total get to go on to state. And why I say the top 4 is, say the team that got the second, was ranked second, is already going on to state, it'll bump down. So then say the first, third, fourth, and fifth, will all go on to state. I mean, I've seen situations where like the top 7 somehow are all going on state, like once you get to meets later in the year. So your lower down positions can get you to move on the state.
They've got it on like their website, like 50 something team, like 50 ordered.
I compare it to the
Yeah.
the presidential secession. Wait, what?
Secession.
Talking to your mic, bro. If you're gonna say it,
Secession.
So pretty much, obviously, like, you know, vice president takes over, something happens to the president. But if you really look at it, I mean, they go to like 50. It's
Right.
crazy.
Oh,
All the cabinet members and everything have a position to fill, which I think is really cool. That's how I always like to describe it as, or compare it to.
Yeah.
So that's why you would say no if like the first seed is picking the second seed, because if you are the captain of the winning alliance, you have a higher priority than your first selection. I mean, I think it's a difference between third priority and 6th or 7th priority. So it's a decent difference. Yeah. But
Another thing with the declining, if the first place team asks the second place team and the second place team declines, they're still able to pick teams.
Yes.
But if you're not in the top 4 positions and you decline, you're not going to be able to be picked by any of the teams.
You're just out.
So if
Which-
you're not a captain, Unless you want to go home early.
Yeah.
It's worth saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got somewhere to be.
Yeah, we got a
Yeah,
long
it's like,
drive.
kinda. We already packed up. Didn't think we'd be picked.
I wasn't
Sorry, guys.
expecting this.
Yeah.
And if the second place team does say yes to the first place team, then the fifth place team gets moved up to an alliance captain. So that's,
Yeah.
I think, where it gets really complicated and confusing to people, because you could be like the sixth place team and end up picking.
Yeah, 7th potentially, right?
I'm not quite sure, but when
It's
it
just
does come
math.
to scouting and
Wasn't
strategizing, if you are still sitting in the 5th and 6th spot, it's important to talk to teams
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and figure out
Yeah.
who you're going to pick, because you might be in that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even like all day, we're like talking to teams. Like for the end, you're talking to teams, or most of the teams are talking. Some teams kind of like sit in their own corner, but
Yeah.
For the
I mean,
most
what I
part.
recommend you guys doing more is, and what I wish we would have done more is, like, when, like, you have your set, like, 5 people that need to kind of work on the robot or address issues with the robot, but other people on the team that are more like focused on maybe outreach or whatnot, they should be out in the stands watching other teams,
Yeah.
writing down the numbers, writing down the score, writing down pros and cons, benefits, compared
Absolutely.
to their game strategy, which they should know.
So we've been working a lot with strategy, because our first competition, Vanwert, we got second last, and then a week later we got second in the qualification matches.
That's pretty good.
And it kind of threw us really off guard, being not even in the finals to having to choose who
Oh,
you're
yeah.
going to work with in the finals. So we've been working a lot with strategy. We have half sheet pieces of papers that just has certain words that you can circle the answer to, like whether they start on the right or the left side of the game match in autonomous. And we use those to go to the teams and circle it, and then we plug it into an Excel sheet. But within the last week, yesterday night, made an Excel with equations and whatnot, and we made a priority list of what we want other robots to have or what's not so important for them to have. And we made them like point valued, and it adds all up. But another thing that we've been looking into, and we might do next year, is actually physically tallying every robot and like every cone they get on a tower and whatnot. But realistically, you have to have someone on each robot, so like 4 people per match, and they're going to be doing that all day, and we're not quite sure if we have the numbers yet. But we have been talking to another team. We might send 2 of our people to their people, so we'll see how that works next weekend.
Yeah, we have some local teams that we go to pretty much every competition together with.
Yeah.
So those are nice connections to have.
Yeah.
And First likes that. They like teams working together. I mean,
they
that's-
only do, I think, 7 state qualifier like competitions in the whole state.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's only 7.
I guess that makes sense because we do go like 2 hours away for some of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I remember our coach Greg, but shout out to him. I mean, he's done. I mean, he uses, so first of all, this man allows us to use his entire basement. I mean, except for like probably 20 square feet of
Yeah.
it, to have completely transformed it into an FLL and FTC
There was-
practice and just building area.
There was one time where there was 1, 2, 3, 4 total first teams in that basement.
We call our club FLRC. It's Fort Laramie Robotics
Yeah,
Club.
FLRC teams.
In that basement. And, I mean,
At the same time.
and it's for a couple months of the year. I mean, he has practice. I mean, some team is practicing at all times, so he's
Yeah,
constantly has
it's hectic.
people coming over every night. And I mean, great coach. He's helped a lot of and affected a lot of us.
I still don't think he's gotten his trophy for Coach of the Year.
Yeah,
So,
he won.
From like 2017,
Yeah.
2018. 2018 it would have been.
It's the Compass Award, which is like the.
That was an FLL. It was like the Lego trophy thing. That's not the Compass Award.
Well, he
Oh,
just
yeah.
never got it, I don't think.
Yeah.
He got.
I think he got it in. We got it for him in FTC once, I believe.
Yeah.
I know we also got our other coach. He worked at Honda, and Brett was his name. We got it for him too, and that was awesome because when
That
he
was
when
sweet.
he won that Compass Award, dude, that sits in my memory all the time. We went crazy. I mean, our little section of like 20 people in this whole like stands
Yeah.
inside of a gymnasium
That was
just
awesome.
erupted. It was awesome.
And I can't remember what he was doing. Wasn't he just on his phone? He's like, "Did you say my name?"
He was on his phone. He's like,
like,
we're like,
huh?
Brett, get up there. And he's like, nah, quit pulling my leg. And we're like, no, Brett,
like,
you have to go
said
take that
your name.
award. And he's like, huh? And then stands up, walks down there, and we're all chanting, Brett, Brett, Brett.
Well, because the
It
team
was
has to
amazing.
nominate him for the award, and I don't think they always tell the coach. Like the team.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
sometimes it's a
tell the
secret.
coach.
Yeah, sometimes it's
Yeah.
secret.
So-
And so you make a little video for him, and our video was absolutely awesome. We
It was
did
gas.
we did the thing from Survivor where like you placed your vote. So then we all like came up and had our little like 5 seconds. So these videos have to be under 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And we're like, I nominate Brett because such and such, and move on to the next person. So it was a little cool video.
Yeah,
It was sick.
it was awesome.
So where were we?
Something that I wanted to talk about to show people. So first is a great time. FTC is such a great time. It's such a positive impact on anybody who's in it. But I don't want to understate the difficulty of it, especially for
Yeah.
everybody involved, like the team. Like, you guys are crazy. So I'll say this, and I'll kind of throw it back to you guys, see what you guys have to say. But basically, especially for a competition, the second you walk in the doors of the competition, you are on a time crunch with everything. Do you guys have anything to say about that, or I can keep going? Or?
Keep going.
All right, so it's a time crunch. One good example, our first year we did it, we had no idea what we were doing. There were just 4 of us at the time because everyone else was still in FLL. And we had a little robot. It was basically just like it just pushed things around, and it had one hook on it.
I was gonna say it didn't just do that.
It had a
It
hook on
elevated
it, and
its
then it
entire
could like
self.
raise itself up on something on the game mat, and that's really all it did. And that was the one function it had, and it broke our like first like big competition. So like that was I wouldn't say I was stressed, but that was like the most motivated and time conscious I've ever been, because you're between matches. Especially when the matches start, you're between matches. You have like 20 minutes to get this thing up and running
Yeah.
and functioning
Well, remember
again.
we pretty much rebuilt the entire thing during our lunch break.
Yeah,
Off like
we-
one slice of pizza.
Yeah, we get an hour of lunch or whatever, 45 minutes, and we're like, well, that's honestly just extra
Well,
time. So.
you guys actually have it easier now because the judging used to be like the day of the competition. So
Yeah.
you would get all of your judging done in the morning, which you meet with,
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 volunteers, and they ask you question, or you give a little presentation. Then they ask you questions to see if you qualify for certain award categories, and there's a whole process with it. That used to be like day of. So now
It
you
will
get-
be day of for Sylvania.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
It's gonna
yeah.
be day of.
COVID threw a loop in that, so they really liked it being over Zoom. So if they had judges living far away, they didn't have to go to
Yeah.
the school
Yeah.
and judge us. But Sylvania will have in-person judging, which is kind of scary because none of the members on our team have experienced that since it's been the last
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
years.
Well, the judge we worked with, we had one team that we judged 2 teams or 3 teams, 3
We
teams
just
on
3
Zoom.
teams on Zoom, yeah.
3 teams on Zoom on Thursday, and we judged 1 team in person. And after it was done, it was a younger team, and the other judge we were working with, she was like, "Oh man, it must be so nerve-wracking to do it in person." I'm like, "That's what we grew up with. Like, I
That's
10
what I-
times prefer doing an
that's what I
interview or
preferred.
anything in person
Yep.
than over Zoom."
Dude, because like, we've had it a few times. There's an awkward delay. Like, if they ask a question, you respond, and then they, like, clarify. Or, like, we're, like, trying to figure out what to say, and then they just, like,
Yeah.
say something, and then we start, and...
You go from the point you're talking at the same time, and then nobody's talking for like
And then
5 seconds.
yeah, you both just
that
stop.
just doesn't happen in person.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
It's also kind of hard to hear them over the Zoom call. I feel like we've had a couple misunderstandings.
Oh,
Yeah, especially with some of the judges having more of an accent, you do have to like really pay attention. You can't be like doing anything else.
yeah. We've had that, like, once or twice on Zoom just from the 3 teams that we judged, But I see both sides, especially if you haven't done it in person ever. That's a whole new level of kind of...
Yeah, I don't think anybody on our team has done it in person because our first year would have been the ring year, and
Oh.
that was all on Zoom. The whole competition was on Zoom. You didn't even go to do the game in person.
Yeah, everything
We
was
did
on
we did
Zoom.
one scrimmage that year in person.
That year was horrible.
The rings were fun,
Our
man.
Because,
robot was
well,
nice.
Our robot,
Our
when it
robot.
booted up, dude, it sounded like a...
Oh, jet
Air
engine
Force
taking
One
off?
helicopter.
Yeah. So I guess the concept of
It was
this
awesome.
game, Matt, was
The
you had to
robot was
you had to
nice.
take on flat rings and then shoot them into 3 different stage levels, right?
Yeah.
So
it was
we
like a
had this-
carnival game, basically.
We had a center. We had our launching ring at the very top. It pretty much just we pressed the ring in between a wheel spinning and then like a plate, and that we had that wheel spinning. I think it was 1600 RPM.
Yeah.
No. It was
What?
a 6,000 RPM motor.
It was 6,000?
6,000.
So we would start
I
a
didn't know
robot,
that.
and you would hear this absolute jet engine start warming up, and it would shake the metal like firing thing. So it was just the whole thing was shaking. I mean, you felt it in your bones were shaking. You're like,
I might
let's
try to
get
find a
fired up.
video so we can splice that in there. 'Cause
Oh,
it is so
awesome.
good. But it worked. Those things, we had the fastest like exit velocity.
Oh,
ever.
yeah.
Those things, you could hear them leave, like not just like the plate and like sliding. You could hear go.
We didn't take it from the program.
That'd be awesome up here.
Yeah, but
You know how many things I could do with a 6,000 RPM motor?
spin things at 6,000
Spin
RPM.
things at 6,000 RPM.
I still remember one day Brett was walking downstairs and we were revving up that. I told this story during our break, but which was a short break. We're doing good.
Good turnaround.
And he walks downstairs. He goes, "What in the world is that?" And then we point our robot towards him, like not intentionally or anything. He puts his hands up, backs away a little bit. He's like, "No." Yeah, but we didn't have
That
to
was
worry.
fun.
We didn't have to worry about.
Sometimes.
Sometimes people watch it.
Take your sunglasses off. There you go. There you go. Now you can see us.
It was a lot better in the first half. I'm not going to cap. Gonna have to put the brightness up a little bit, I guess.
It's too far.
Katie's so technical with all this exposure stuff. Not even saying it into the mic.
She said
People
that.
can't-
If it was on his, hey yo, ain't that a little dark?
Yeah, flexing her photography abilities.
Shout it out. Go ahead.
Shout it
It's
out.
my camera that they use.
Yeah.
Terry Sherman Photography, yeah.
Also,
Yeah, there
if
you
you look
go.
at our Instagram account, you can find it by seeing who we follow because we follow your account.
Thank you.
So yeah. Anyways, yeah. So anything else? Like, what's all unique about your guys' robot? You got anything that's like, bruh?
I think
Crazy.
something
This is
about
crazy.
our teams, we usually do like a pretty simple robot every year, but it gets the job done. This year we have a turntable, so we're able to pick up the game elements, the cones, from 180 degrees. But we haven't exactly used that in competition yet, which is kind of, I think, what's hurting us on the Innovate Award if we are up for that award.
So yeah, we have a claw, just a basic claw design on a linear slide, and then that whole thing we can make turn. So the main reason we don't use is just user error.
Your call's made out of this.
Oh yeah, we use those wheels.
It's just a wheel. Now this,
Those are the best wheels, bro.
we did steal. Well, I say we.
I
Someone
stole
put it in
this,
his
bro.
pocket and just forgot about it.
The amount of Allen wrenches I have, uncomprehendable. It is unbelievable.
Yeah. Sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
So yeah, the main reason we don't use it is because it's just, I think what we need to do is put it on the same controller that's doing like the actual turning, because you get two drivers, so there's two controllers, and as of right now, how we have it is one controller does all of the wheels, so all of the turning, driving stuff. Then one does pretty much everything else, so raising it up and down, opening the claw, and then the turntable. And
Yeah,
it's just-
having two people control the gyration of where the drop zone is
yeah.
would kind of just be not functional.
It's hard to, between them communicate them.
Have you thought about using a machine state in your program so that the driver can only click one button and then it'll rotate 180 degrees and then 180 degrees back?
I have thought about that, but I haven't really. We're kind of working on our
you guys,
right
you guys
now,
have, like I said,
Priorities.
it's a time crunch, man. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
have thought about it, but I just don't know how accurate it would be. And
I mean, you guys,
yeah,
at this point in your season, you guys are also doing very well. And so to add a different element that'll change it, like
Yeah.
variations could be good or they could be bad at this point in time.
Yeah.
So at right now, in as far as the robot goes, we're focusing on our autonomous because at Walpox last weekend, we basically just drove forward and guessed where to park. You can read this signal cone that you have,
Yeah.
and it'll tell you where to park because they randomize it and turn it every round. But ours, we didn't have the capability to do that. So we kind of just guess, and it's 20 points or whatever if you guess. So it's a substantial amount of points. But we're trying to work on actually being able to read it. And so instead of having a 1 in 3 chance, we get it every time. And then also being able to put cones onto the towers. You can do that during autonomous.
Right. So you were actually, I remember this from last weekend, you were really proud because the camera started working, you got that camera up and running. And that's a cool thing. This robotic stuff is kind of difficult even at this level because you got a camera, you set it up, you get it to the point where your robot can read and recognize images and like
Yep.
compute that into certain actions that you don't even control with the controller.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
something we never implemented in
Yeah.
our years of doing it.
Yeah.
So the autonomous, most of the time in the engineering world, it's like a machine that can make decisions on its own and do stuff on its own. So like you have autonomous cars, which would be like
Mhm.
Tesla self-driving. So for ours, we can use just a regular computer webcam that plugs into your hub via USB, and we found this program off the internet, off GitHub, that can read these basically like QR codes, and you print them out and put them on your sleeve, and then put that on the cone, and then they just turn it. And so when you start, it'll like read it, and it will be able to know like which one it's seeing
Mhm.
based on the rotation. So haven't got it working. Well, I mean, the reading part, it knows what it's looking at, and like it knows what it's seeing. The camera part's pretty much all done. Just the driving is what we're working on right now.
Right.
So
It needs to know what to do after it reads it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's another thing with crunch time. We have today's Saturday. Our competition is in a week, and we have that webcam working, but we have just added a touch sensor for our autonomous, and then we have to program those, and that's just the programming aspect. We're making changes on the robot. We're currently like rebuilding the claw just in case it breaks during competition, so we don't have to like frantically rush and find pieces. We cut those out on the Wazer, so we got those pieces cut. We're rebuilding backups, and then the outreach portion, for our engineering presentation in front of the judges, you have to have a portfolio, which is, you have a whole notebook which tells you, the judges, everything you've done throughout the season, and the portfolio is the notebook in 15 pages. So we're making changes to that. There's promote video, we're making changes to that. It's just, there's a lot of stuff.
It's hard for us a couple years. You remember put that VR set down there?
We might have gotten a little distracted a few times. Yeah, just like once, twice, 18.
yeah, so
That
me
was
and
awesome.
my brother are on the team, and we have one. We just refrained from bringing it over because I know that's what we would do for the whole 2 hours or whatever
It's a
we
good
were
idea.
there each night.
Yeah, it's a good idea. You can do that at the end when you guys like go to state and win. And
Yeah.
everything, you know what I mean?
Celebrate.
Celebrate.
You got to put a cool sticker on your like this. There was one of my most memorable things. we had an intake port. This was one year we call it our scissor lift year. 'Cause,
Yeah.
X scissor lift, and it could elevate itself up. On the intake portion, we had Luke. You guys all know him.
Yep.
He was in a swimsuit, and I don't even know how we got the photo, but
He was
just
just
sitting there.
he's
like,
striking a pose. Yeah.
And it's hilarious.
Yeah, and one of my other friends, made a sticker out of it and just texted me.
It's like cropped his whole body.
Text me out of the blue. He's like, "Do you want a sticker of Luke?" And I said,
Absolutely.
"Why would you ever have to even ask that question? Just bring it to me." So we got it. We got one sticker and we slapped it on there, and that was so memorable because that was still in person at the time, like judging everything. Oh my gosh, people ate it up. It's like, why? Who is that? Oh, that's just her friend. Why is he?
Is he on the robotics team? Nope.
No,
I don't even know if he knows we have this sticker.
he.
on our
I don't. We might have told him one time. He's definitely forgotten about it. But it was so funny. And we put we etched. No, we didn't etch. No, we etched Supreme into one thing. But then we found a label maker one time, and man, we got up to some shenanigans with that thing. We put like Supreme, like the brand. We printed that off. We slapped it like on the robot, like 4 different places. I think one time we did etch it into a 3D printed piece.
Yeah, it was like a game token or something.
Yeah, and it just put Supreme on it, like underneath our team name and stuff like that.
Oh, we had some.
That was
some
fun.
crazy years.
That was
We
fun.
made- so me and Isaiah, we made it to state one time, and that was in 2019. So.
Did you guys actually go?
That was
Like,
goes. No, we didn't go.
was that
Didn't
the
we make it
COVID?
state over COVID year?
We qualified over COVID. They just canceled the state competition.
Yeah.
Was that the year?
No, we made it when they did all in person, and state was supposed to be in March, and then March was like when everything got shut down
Yeah.
in 2019.
Yeah.
So we were gonna go like to an in-person state, which was probably gonna be
Mhm.
blast, like one of the best days ever. And then they got canceled.
Yeah.
So that was unfortunate. But
It's
how
alright.
we made it there was sick. So preface this, the first meet of the season, dead last. I mean,
Of
you guys
not-
got second last. We got dead last.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And this was 4 years ago, our second year. 4 years ago. We're 1 year out.
Your sophomore year, so yeah.
Yeah, 4 years ago.
2019, so yeah, 4 years ago. And first meet got last. I mean, wheel fell off mid competition. This was our scissor lift year. Scissor lift was sick. So what we tried to do is we tried to actually tip over the robot. Couldn't move it, so we were just kind of messing around. Got dead last.
That was the
Somehow
most
got-
fun match I've ever
Somehow got
played.
third in Inspire though. That didn't move us on in the state, but it like motivated us a little bit. Next week, I think we were like in the top 10, not a picking alliance, but I think we made it to a final alliance with like the 4th seed. So we weren't able to do much, and we lost the 1st seed right away. But like, all right, progress. And then the next week, our final chance to get to state, right?
Yeah.
We had to clutch up all day. We're clutching up. We put new back wheels on the robot specifically so it could drift, save like 0.1 seconds. Put what are they called, coaster wheels,
Yes.
caster wheels.
Casters.
Caster wheels, so they just slide, and we had front wheel drive robots, so we could drift around these corners. This was the
It actually worked so well.
above and under, or just under.
What it was is you stacked blocks. You took blocks from one side of the game mat. You had to go under a bridge, and then you had to stack the blocks up. So you get to a point where you have to pick up a block, go under the bridge, then raise up, drop it off, put it on your tower, then lower real quick, and you do have turns to make in there too.
Yeah. So the tricky thing was there was 2 lows and then one moderately high, but the moderately high was over this plastic plate, and our back whips had no traction on that plastic plate. I mean, we could spin 180s on that thing. It's craziness. So went to the lows, and one of my most memorable things. This wasn't a farther off match, but probably my most memorable thing is the lower corners could fit 2 robots pretty much exactly side by side, right? So there's one robot on the wall going through, and we probably had 1 inch clearance, or total 1 inch clearance, so half-inch clearance on both sides. We skirt in there, we churn, we drift, and then go straight, get traction, drive through. We go through simultaneously at the same exact time, both drop off bricks, and then we go back out. Crazy, and that was with Van Wert. But anyways, we finished as a 4th seed, so technically drafting lines, right?
Mhm.
And we kind of had things talked over. So what we thought was going to happen was this team Van Wert, which is kind of a powerhouse. Definitely in our years, they were better.
Van Wert, yeah, 100%.
They had a varsity team and a JV team. Their varsity team was 1st seed, obviously they're studs and everything. And then their JV team was 3rd seed. So everyone kind of in the whole entire building kind of thought, Van Wert's varsity was going to pick their JV. And then the
Yeah.
local team, Coldwater, was 2nd seed. We were 4th team. So it was kind of...
I want to point out too, Van Wert's JV team was also under the impression that Van Wert's
Oh, yeah.
varsity team would select them.
Yeah, they were a little shocked. So Van Wert's varsity team goes up there and they go to draft, and they're like, it's pretty much you say your team number and then you say the team number that you want to draft. And they go up and they say their team number and then they say Coldwater's team number, and the whole gym's like, what?
Ooh. Yeah.
So 1st seed goes with the 2nd seed. We get bumped up to 3rd seed. 3rd seed gets bumped up to 2nd seed. 2nd seed picks us, which is now Van Wert's JV team.
Van Wert's JV
So
team and us are alliance,
we
yeah.
accept because, we could have taken the risk, decline, be our own alliance captain, is what we felt. Just because it was probably our best option, just to go.
It was by far the best option.
They were the
Yeah.
best team.
At the very least, it was the most fun by far.
Oh yeah. Whatnot, and then so new 3rd and 4th seed come up, and they pick all different people, right? So the alliances get made up. We're the 2nd seed, and kind of the enemy is the 1st seed. So we're not playing, obviously how brackets work. The 1 and 4 goes together, and 2 and 3. So we battle the 3, we win.
Mhm.
Oh, by the way, I have to say, the alliances are made of 3 teams. The captain of the alliance has to play every match, and then it's best of 2 out of 3, and each alliance picked team, right?
I think,
The team that were chosen have to play 1.
yeah, they have to
If it
play
goes to
1.
the 3rd, then you get to choose which
Yeah.
one you
Yeah.
would rather
I
play.
thought
It's purely by wins. It's not like even if you win by 1 point, it's still a win.
Yeah, it's just a win. Yep.
Yeah, really for wins. And I'd say the 3rd one that our alliance picked, they were awesome.
They were cool. They came in suits, man. And we usually are like one of the best dressed there because we have polos. Well, their team. We were. these guys came in suits. They had one guy. He was the driving coach, which is just somebody that's there behind the controllers during the game that kind of just shouts out things that they could do or tells about time. His designated role outside of that was to take a lint roller and like clean off the controller, the driver's suits and everything before the match starts.
Approach to the controllers and get ready to compete.
Oh, it was awesome. Did they have a briefcase for the controllers, or am I imagining that? I think we might have joked about them needing one. I think we said. I think
some teams do that.
I think we talked about them needing one. They could bring it out, set it down, open it up, take the controls up. So good.
But anyways, as the story goes, we do good. We beat the 3rd seed, and the 1st seed beats the 4th seed. So it's us, and it's kind of David versus Goliath, the way the whole thing's feeling. Us versus the 1st seed. Vanwert's JV that got snubbed down, didn't get picked by the varsity against their varsity. And obviously it wasn't like all hatred and stuff. We were kind of over.
It was at the time, but we were involved in that necessarily.
We weren't really involved in that, but we were just helping. Do our part.
We got hype because of it,
was
but
like a storyline for real.
Oh, it was
the
awesome.
underdog.
Yeah.
We go in there, and I think
It went to 3 matches.
Yeah, I went to 3 matches. Vanwert competes with the Jackets first.
Yep.
Because they were doing a little bit better than us, or about the time, and somehow they lose. I'm like, oh man. I mean, that was Vanwert's top seed versus Vanwert's, but it was real close. It was by a couple points. That's Vanwert's top seed with their Coldwater, so with their first
pick. Yep.
And we were obviously their second or their first. We were the first pick, but we didn't compete first. So we go in the second one. We win the best match, so it's 1-1. Vanwert's got a tough decision.
We clutched up, by the way.
Yeah,
we clutched up.
We clutched up. I think that's the moment when we had, like I said, we both crossed under the thing.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I mean, it was like me and Isaiah were telepathically communicating, but then our thoughts would merge and telepathically communicate with our alliance, JV Vanwert.
I think the only things we said the whole time was inside, outside, and like turning or something, so that we knew, like, oh, hop over here, blah blah. That, and normally you're. Maybe not with the other team, but you're communicating a lot, at least with your partner. It was a stressful match. It was fun, but it was stressful. We didn't say much.
The more you guys are working together, the more you have to communicate together.
Yeah.
So, the final 3rd match, it comes up. It's Vanwert's varsity and Coldwater, and then Vanwert and their second pick, so the suits. We'll call them the suits. I don't know where they're from or what their team number was. And we clutched up to 1, and
it was crazy. Well, the best thing about it was seriously like an underdog story, because Vanwert's varsity team was already going to state, but their JV team wasn't. So if they would have picked their JV team and won, their JV team by default would be going to state. But they didn't pick them, and that's why everyone thought they were going to pick them. Was just get the JV team is good enough. They're already a captain, so pick them, get them to state, and they didn't do that. So when our alliance won, them as the captains, they got to state regardless. They got the qualification.
Yeah, and it worked out well for us. Because how we qualified for states. Like I said, if you're the first pick of the winning alliance, you're like the 5th or 6th.
You're 4th.
Well, 5th because the host team of the competition is automatically qualified to state, which is how the Vanwert varsity team was going to state, because they had hosted a competition earlier in the year.
You're definitely not 4th. Because we needed something to happen to go on.
They might have changed it.
Definitely could have changed.
But yeah, I think we were 5th because what ended up happening was Coldwater won the Inspire Award. They were already qualified for state, and that pushed us up to go.
Yeah, something like that. No, it was awesome.
It was cool. So that was our last chance of making that state.
So we're hoping to have that situation next weekend, because so far we're not qualified for state.
Or we're hoping to just be the first alliance captain and then just win it all.
Yeah, that would be pretty swell. Not gonna lie.
You get to win Inspire. I think how it goes is like, obviously, like Kate says, by default the team that hosts the meet goes on the state, and that's just something first does because it's kind of difficult to get teams to host the meet. So given that benefit, and that's only 7. Like they said, there's only 7 qualifiers, but it's only 7 teams that move on out of the whole 36, so it doesn't really cause a problem there. And usually high caliber teams that move on from that. So I wouldn't even count them in like that running, but I think first guy gets to go on is first Inspire.
Yeah.
And then I believe it is the winning alliance captain, second Inspire, and then
The first pick of the winning alliance captain.
I'm pretty sure it's Think.
Think is 8th.
Think's 8th?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty far down
so
there. man.
Coldwater, our Van Wert competition had qualified for state for Think, which was 8th in succession. So that was kind of crazy because that was our first competition, and there were already like multiple teams going on to state.
The thing when you're so late in the year like this, I mean,
Anything could happen.
anything inside the top 15 gets you to state because there'd be so many teams that have already qualified.
Basically, like half the teams at Sylvania have qualified
Yeah.
next weekend.
But it is like kind of a thing like you kind of want to strategically like the Think Award's 8th in succession, so really go hard in your presentation, like going for the Think Award. You know?
If you guys are in a position to either be like your last competition, if you guys are in a position to either be an alliance captain or maybe even be picked, it's such an advantage to know who is already going to state. Because if you're picked by the first seed team, and then you know they're going to state, accept, because if you guys win, if they're first seed and they pick you, even though you were a captain or had the chance to be an alliance captain, like there's a strong chance you'll come through. You know what I mean?
And it's funny how they do the whole selection process. Is one member of your team goes out with one member of every other team. They all stand in a line in front of everybody, and it just goes down first pick, second pick. You know, they kind of do the
Yep.
little draft.
Oh, the funniest thing I've ever seen. It's awkward, but it's so funny is when, like, even like the leading alliance, like they're like winning, dominating the robot portion of the game. They go up. They don't have a clipboard. It's like we pick. Who's the second? Who's the second? Who's it? Can we get that verified?
They've got
My
the
team.
whole
Oh, okay,
leaderboard
yeah,
posted
yeah. We're
and
just gonna
everything.
pick the second one.
So that was actually something similar to that happened last weekend. We were the second place team, and the first place team, he's like, I actually don't know their numbers, and like looked over and pointed at me, and he's like, their team, and then like looked back, he's like, okay, 14-279, and I felt really bad because we ended up declining them. We had our whole succession worked out. We thought we had a really good chance. We lost in the first
round.
round, but you know, you live and you learn. High risk sometimes comes with high reward, and sometimes it comes with no reward.
And they chose their own destiny. And you win and you're in. That's kind of the mentality.
Yeah.
And if we had even accepted, we still might not have went on. Like, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
You guys should have picked the third seed. And if you didn't get the third seed, you should have picked the 11th seed.
The Ben Logan team.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
The Ben Logan team. I know who you're talking about. The Robo.
yeah.
Raider
You
Robotics.
guys.
No,
did.
we didn't. I don't think so.
Anyway, well, Robokai had been very inconsistent throughout the day, so we felt like
Yeah.
best talking with our team that, you know, we weren't sure if their robot was actually going to work or if it wasn't going to work, whatnot. So
Yeah.
They get so fancy. Some of those robots out there are so ridiculously fancy,
Well,
and then they're really impressive on paper, and then they just don't function.
did you guys see their robot? They broke a 3D printed part on like their gripper or whatever
Yeah,
they
we
used to
saw
pick it
it,
up.
yeah.
And they 3D printed it in 30 minutes. They ran their 3D printer at 270% speed. To 3D print it while they were there.
That's awesome.
I think that's what we had. There was one team that their entire mechanism
Yeah.
for picking up the cones, they had an entire was screwed on with like 7 screws, and they had an entire backup, like 3D printed backup.
Yeah.
It was all 3D printed, the whole mechanism from the gear chain to the linear slide.
They won the Inspire, right?
Yes, they won Inspire.
Yeah.
Oh, so they
It
would
was-
have been in the third place.
Yeah, it was crazy. They're like, yeah, we just thought it.
If that broke, they could just.
Yeah,
they
they're like-
said they could switch it out in like 12 minutes or something.
Like, we just thought it took too long to re-spool everything on the linear rail, so we just made a different one, and we'll just put it on faster. Like the whole thing just comes off.
Just like fix the other one, prep it, so then put
Like it's
backups-
NASCAR.
backups.
Yeah, well, exactly. It was awesome. It was sweet. Let's see. Is there anything else about First you want the folks at home to know?
Programming sucks. I hate it.
it's a lot of work. We start in September, and it's currently February, so
Yeah, it's a
And-
long season. It lasts longer than sports does. Most sports. Sometimes you have an
When does the
exception.
game back come out? Comes out August 1st, right?
August something. Yeah,
I think it
sometime
comes out in August. Yeah, the teaser video.
Here's something, because I know our team's pretty bad about it, but also we usually pull through by the end of the season. When did you guys have a robot to like compete?
So our team does a community outreach project, and we show our robot at a basketball game, and we had that planned like maybe in like December. We planned it like first weekend of January, that Friday, and it was over Christmas break, and we're like, maybe we should, start working on the robot.
Yeah.
At that point, we had a chassis, so probably the first week of January, we had pulled through, got everything together, had our first competition 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
It's been like that for years. That like community outreach event is always like that.
That's the marker.
It's like a strict
Yeah.
deadline. You gotta have your robot.
Well, I feel like
Yeah.
most teams either have it done within the first week that the video
Yeah.
comes out, or they have it done right before,
Yep.
like the night before the competition. They're doing it.
Yep. And to be honest, there's no telling that which one works better because we've seen so many other
Yeah.
like teams that with our exact mentality do fantastic, and then some teams like we were at the launch party or whatever it's called, or I guess they zoomed into it, and they said like within 36 hours we had a robot and we just haven't really changed much. It just worked, but then they don't do fantastic.
There's
in the
no
competition.
like updates that you can show the judges between competition.
Right. It sucks. Yeah.
If you guys are interested, definitely look this stuff on YouTube, and I mean you can go through all the different years. So if you want to see the game at from when me and Isaiah competed, look up 2019
Yeah.
FTC robot games, and if you want to see, there's always YouTube videos. It's like robot 12 hours after release. You can see
Yeah.
it on YouTube, so it's,
Well, you guys should be able to link our one from Walpock.
Do you guys have it
The
up on
link
YouTube?
still works. I think you can like replay the live stream. I don't know
We'll look
how
at that.
great
We'll look
the
at that. We'll put it
quality
in
of the
the-
live stream is, but
If we can do it, we'll put it in the description. So if you guys are looking down there right now, you should be able to find it.
Or I might even stitch some videos in throughout
Yeah.
some of these spots.
Mhm.
That would be cool. Maybe we'll put a little video at the very beginning, just showing like maybe 1 minute of an FTC round,
Mm.
just so everyone gets the concepts and the
Yeah.
size and everything.
Speaking of, I think you're repping a little bit here.
Oh,
we
yeah.
didn't talk about that.
Intentionally, bro.
Got
Get the
the
brand.
nice club shirt going on here. Yeah.
These sponsors on the back and whatnot.
So
good.
this is the shirt our FLL kids, they all draw up designs and
Yeah.
put their ideas together and create. And FTC, we just have a nice polo that we get, same one every year. Last name's on the back.
Last name's
Yeah.
on the back. Team number right on the sleeve.
It's fresh.
So yeah,
it's fresh.
the FLL, they do all their sponsors on the shirts, but for us, we actually put our sponsors on the robot. We
Yeah.
have like a whole thing printed out.
Well,
and we
talk
just
about
slap
this.
it on.
We haven't talked about the sponsors. Talk about some fundraising. So those, because it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, you got it.
So the founders of the team, they used to walk door to door to the businesses. That was really nice. And then they created some great relationships that we've kept over the years. As of now, we just send out letters to our community, and there's incentives and donor tiers. So certain amounts can get your name on the robot, the t-shirts, the banner.
Yeah.
And then we try to keep that relationship and that bond there by sending out update letters throughout the year, and we just let them know how we're doing. We show our robot off at the basketball games so our sponsors can come and actually see it for themselves. And an idea that I wanted to maybe implement next year is having an option where it's like an email update, because we like hand write out all the addresses and print that out and whatnot. And I know Coldwater did that, and I thought that'd be
Give them a
really neat.
email subscription.
Yeah.
Hey, we just had our first event. This is what your money's been used for.
Yeah.
This is how we did. Kind of in a way keeps yourself reliable.
Yeah, holding yourself
Yeah.
accountable.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Holding yourself accountable.
Yeah.
For sure.
But no, judges eat that up, man. They eat it up. They love the outreach and everything. You
That's
pull
been-
it out.
That's been unplugged for a hot second, but I wasn't sure if it was your microphone.
Why didn't you say anything?
I thought it was an extra microphone.
I was like, I'm pretty sure that's.
It's alright. It's only like the 10th time we've done it.
All right.
Dang it.
Yeah,
No
Well-
biggie.
How
No
long's a
biggie.
hot second?
The
At
whole
least
second
5
half?
minutes, bro.
Oh, like only since I stood up
Yeah.
Oh, probably.
Probably.
We should be fine.
or since the break?
Maybe
Right.
before that. I don't know. I don't really
Okay.
remember.
Hopefully it just happened when I stood up.
We can check real quick.
Jacob talks loud enough.
Yeah,
fine.
it's all right. I mean, we'll finish this one out. We probably only got a couple more minutes left.
Yeah, we don't have too much. Yeah, judges eat they eat that up. They love hearing about like going out to businesses, talking about like almost like trading information, like you're talking to another team basically. And from our experience, like going out in person to them when we were able to do that, even like the employees and like those like what would they be called? Those
Like secretaries,
yeah. Some of them are like head of some
financing,
CEOs.
or
financing. Yeah, CFOs. Yeah. They loved it to death, and
Oh,
some of
yeah.
them we knew, but some of them were
heck,
like,
there's sometimes we just brought a robot in. We're like, yeah, we can just drive it if you want to see that. And they're like, yeah, that sounds awesome.
yeah. Oh, except for one. I'm not gonna say the company, but that lady, you know who you are. One place we ever went to that's like, sometimes we don't get donations, and we understand, but we're like, they're not. She just said. All right, we're bad at a few things today, but
I want to see. I think what happens. I probably cross my leg and unplug it somehow. But
yeah.
between like 6 and 10 minute mark in the second segment,
yeah,
we
it's
lost
all
me.
right. And I keep forgetting to turn the stupid time on, or the clock, but that's all right. I was gonna say, there's one company, we went in there, we're like kids, you know, we're attacking it head on, we're doing like real charismatic, we're doing the whole nine, we brought a robot and everything.
I even did some Riz.
Oh. That's probably why she told us to leave. But and we're like, we said blah blah blah, we're doing this and this and this, we're out asking for donations, but we can talk about that after if you're interested. Would you like to see a demonstration of the robot? And this lady goes, oh, no thank you, have a nice day. We were flabbergasted. I was speechless. I did not know what to say. And unfortunately, I think that might have been the same place. No, it wasn't, thank goodness. Because we actually demonstrated one time, and then I left the controller in the place when we left. I had to go back and get it. But anyways.
And this company makes robots,
Yeah.
like factory line robots.
I could not believe. But that'll about do it. Sorry I got a little quiet for some of it there, but hopefully it doesn't affect it. too bad.
Hopefully it doesn't ruin the episode.
Yeah, it was a really good one. I enjoyed the memories and hearing of your guys' successes so far.
My legendary story about
Where the mic
us,
was cut
us as
off.
us as the underdogs clutching up an ultimate David and Goliath situation will never be heard, I guess.
Oh
It
no!
was- yeah, the
I was
mic
wondering where you're going with
unplugged.
that. Yeah, you're right. That's okay.
Just means we have to do another episode.
Yeah, we'll do another
And
episode.
we'll show the robot
in
in
the
that one.
future.
Yeah.
That will be hopefully in the basement where we actually practice. We'll
Yeah,
get
you
that
guys
all
can
sorted out.
see.
And we'll have all the team members there, so that would be awesome.
All right.
This is the beginning of a beautiful friendship between FLRC and Speaking Sporadically LCC Corporation.
LCC and
soon to be.
Incorporation.
LCC Incorporation. All right,
All right.
guys, we're out of here. Any last words?
Nope.
Anything from FLRC?
You can keep updated with us on our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Most of them are Fort Laramie Robotics Club, but the Instagram is at Fort FTC, FORT,
Yeah.
FTC.
And
All right,
we'll
there
be
you go.
posting that on our Instagram, so check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Until next time.
Peace.
Where's the stop button? Oh, this is embarrassing.